friends. Welcome to Sky House Herbs podcast. I'm Ashley Elenbaas, a clinical herbalist, and in this space, I share my knowledge and experience with plant medicine to help you on your own journey of healing and transformation. Join me in exploring the ancient wisdom of plant spirit medicine and how it can be used to heal the body, mind, and spirit. We'll talk to experts in the field and share stories from people who've been transformed by powerful plant allies. New episodes are released each Monday, so please subscribe. And now, let's explore this mystical world of plant medicine together. Hey everyone, welcome in. Today I'm going to share with you some tips for creating your own altar space. And I want this to be something that is very simple, easy to do, something that you'll use, and a wonderful way while we're in the winter season, which is where I'm in or what I'm in right now here in North America. It's a great way to really take advantage of being indoors and to create very sanctuarious and ceremonial spaces, even if you can't get outside, which I know for me, I'm like biting at the bit here. It's only February and I want to be outside. So this will be a nice activity for all of you outdoorsy people to be able to do something really creative and satisfying using what you have already indoors. Before we go into today's content, and I'm going to show you an idea of an altar that I created, I wanted to hop over to my website and show you a few things. First, before I do that, I just want to showcase this beautiful scarf that my friend Holly made for me. Isn't it gorgeous? She knit it and then she put on some dandelion and then like a little daisy. I don't know, it's so pretty. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to Holly because she is an incredible artisan. And if you're in the Minneapolis area, she actually is showcasing a lot of her woven artwork through the Scandinavian Weaving Institute. So I will include a link if you want to go check out some of her work. She's an incredible, she does like the hand loom kind of through the old traditional ways. And also she knits and does other various cool crafts. So thank you, Holly, for this beautiful gift. All right, let's head over to the Sky House website. I want to share with you what we have here. Oh, that's not fun. That's the Zoom website. Here we are. This is the Sky House Herb website. So if you go to skyhouseherbs.com, and I'll include a link, you can click on events and click on upcoming events. I just wanted to share that I am teaching a love potion workshop here in Minneapolis area on February 15th. I'll be teaching at the Midwest Women's Herb Conference in Alman, Wisconsin, May 23rd to 25th, a equinox and solstice gathering on March 21st, and then using garden herbs to make your own medicine. This is another Minnesota workshop at Sailor's Greenhouse, and registration is opening soon. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to study with me online, you can click on the Herbal Foundations apprenticeship here, learn about this year one, really wonderful way to deepen your understanding of plant medicine, working with plant spirit medicine, learning all about herbal energetics, and really making herbal medicine something that is a functional thing you can use with your friends and family. All of the information is here on the website. And if you need help with tuition, we offer tuition assistance. So if you are someone for whom these payment options and even the early bird special is just not going to give you enough flexibility within your current budget, we would love to still have you study with us. And we have a few different tuition assistant brackets that you may be eligible for. So you can head to the website, check that out. And also the year 2 course, second year apprenticeship, that will be opening soon. Stay tuned for more for our enrollment options here. But this is going to be a clinical based way of studying herbs. So just wanted to share that with you. Head over there if you want to learn more. All right, friends. Creating altars. Well, I wanted to start with why. What is an altar? Why would we create one? And I think the why is important because for us humans, if we don't understand why we're supposed to be doing something, and this is so true for me as a mother, like if I really want my children to be on board with something, I need to explain to them why they're doing it or why it's important. So an altar is an important thing to create because it creates a place for us to place our intentions. And it is a visual reminder that we are opening ourselves to something new. So we don't create an altar to affirm things that we already know, right? I mean, we could say, we can always give thanks in an altar space and say, thank you for the things I know and for what I've been given. That's always a good thing. But for most of us, the why is because there's a gap. We want something else. We need a healing that we haven't been able to attain. We need inspiration or insight into a problem that we haven't been able to solve. Or we're looking for guidance from something we've never met or from a source that we have not come to know before. And an altar creates a space and an actual physical location for us to place our intentions, our energies, and then to see that in our daily lives so that we are reminded of this. So that is the why. The why is because it creates a space to bring something in. And often we create an altar during a transitional space in our lives. And this could be because something from the past or something is leaving us. Maybe we're grieving a relationship or we're grieving a person or a pet. We can create an altar for memory and for healing of our heart and for calling in something new. And it can also be a transition maybe in our work life or in our creative life or in our spiritual life, right? We're like, I could use a little help with this next step. I'm feeling a little clumsy. I'd love some support. And that's what I think an altar can really do, is give us that support in a transitionary moment. And part of creating an altar is the ritual of placement and the ritual of calling in of sacred objects. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this, how I do it, where I get these ideas from, so that you can create a practice that really suits your needs for this moment and calls upon or calls in the supporters and allies that feel most resonant to you, because you might not have the same background, history, or interest that I have. And I want to show you ways you can bring in and draw in what feels most resonant with you. Before that, I wanted to break down a few words, because these words I find to be really helpful in understanding the why. So the first word is altar. What is altar? So the word altar comes from two Latin words: altarium, which means on high, or altar, which means to be on high, or from Spanish, alta, which means tall, and adulare, which means to burn or sacrifice. So it's something that's set up on high, and it's a place upon which we burn or sacrifice. And that made me think of, well, what does sacrifice mean? So I looked it up, and the word sacrifice comes from two words in Latin: sacer, which means to make, and facere or facere, which means holy or sacred. So to sacrifice means to make holy or to make sacred. So when we create an altar, we're creating something that is higher than us, that has a greater vantage point than we do. We're calling in beings, or we're calling in spirits, or we're calling in consciousness that is higher, that is more elevated than we are, to bring in spiritual or sacred or holy information to support us in some way. And I want to say that one of the most important things about creating an altar, or created this sacred space, is this idea of reciprocity. In order to ask for something, and this is true like in physics, we have to give something first. So energy out is what creates the movement of energy in. And so when we create the altar, it is an act of giving of our time. We're sacrificing our time. We're giving objects. We are making sacraments or sacrifices of our time and our things, our possessions, for the sake of something holy and sacred. And we're giving it to something higher than us. And we're not doing that so that we will get something. And I love this distinction that We give so that we may receive. Because when we ask and we pray for something in any tradition, we're not guaranteed an answer or a response. It'd be way too simple. We'd live in a completely different universe if everything I asked for, I got. And there's a lot of things you can probably think of too that you've asked for that you're glad you didn't get, right? So the prayer and the altar and the sacrifice is so that we may, because we don't often know what's in our own best interest, but we can ask and say, I'm going to offer these things so that I may receive something of value. And I don't know what that might be, but I know that it will be something, that something will come back to me through my act of offering, that I will have reciprocation back, something that comes from a higher good, or from a higher level of consciousness that will be supportive to me. And I think we also, in the act of creating and clearing space, we also then create space for something to come in. If we never clear a shelf, if we never clear our closet, if we never clean out our car, then nothing new can come in. So the act of ritually cleansing a space and giving things away and creating an opening is something that has been done for centuries and for thousands of years in humans and even other animal species. So if I clear this out, then I have space for something new in. And that's part of this ritual act of creating an altar. So here's how I do this. This is my personal practice. So the first thing I do, well, I first think about what is it that I want, I'm asking for support with, right? So you have to get clear about what is the intention. So I'm going to use an example that is true for me right now. So right now I am experiencing a renaissance of my inner artist. I used to make a lot of art when I was younger, and then I don't know why I stopped. I'm not sure. It wasn't like someone said something or something happened. It was sort of like, I think there was sort of a slow detachment from my artistic side. And I think I've never really let it go completely, but the actual, making of art on a regular basis, that practice got somehow fused into my herbal work with creating flyers and workshops and things like that. But the pure love of it for its own expression went away, and it's come back now, and I'm really loving it. So when I was thinking about, boy, there's something that I want to create more ritual space for, and that's my own artwork. So that's the intention that I have set. And so I want you to take a minute to think about, what is it that you're looking for healing in? And it could be anything. It could be any part of yourself. It could be a relationship. It could be an artistic or work experience that you're, again, what is something that you want more of, or that you want to bring in support with? So that is the first step, is creating the idea, creating what is it that you're needing? What is it that you want help with? And then you look around your living space and you find a surface. So for me, I have lots of surfaces. Like ever since I've been in my teens and 20s, I've had altars everywhere filled with crystals and bird feathers and shells and just, knickknacks and things I picked up. So I think, so for some people, this is very natural. Like if you looked around your house, you might already have altars that you didn't even really create with much, intention. You just placed pretty things onto pretty surfaces. But for this, I want you to you're going to have to find a surface that you're willing to clear off and create from anew. And it should be a space that is not tucked away in a corner, a place that you never go. It shouldn't be in your basement or in your attic. It should be a place that you see every single day, several times a day, because the part of this altar is that you want it to be reminding you constantly of your question. So what I did is I cleared off this shelf earlier right here, and I just sat with openness and curiosity. So I cleared the space And I looked at the shelf and I just said, okay, spirits. And I called to some of my own guardian and protector spirits that I work with. I called to some of my ancestors who have passed. I called to images from my own, from my own lineages, both in sort of the Baltic East and Sicily, images that from the yogic traditions that I've studied. And I just sat there and I called in for the protection and for guardianship. And I lit a candle and I just said, show me what I need to see. And I sat and I sat and I sat. And slowly the images started to come together. And this is something that you have to create space for. It's not a quick process. I really recommend letting this be an area of non-linearness, where you just create spaciousness and give yourself as much time as you need to gather up the images. So what I did is I sat and all these images started flooding in. And I said, okay, okay, okay. And I made my mental list. And then I started walking around and gathering those images. So this is what I gathered for my altar for my inner artist and calling forth more of the artistic muse and guidance. So this is a plant with heart-shaped leaves, and it was actually here on my altar, so I didn't move it very far. And I brought in a piece of art that my mom made. And when I was at my grandmother's house, I think about a month ago, we were going through art from my aunts and uncles and my mom. So this is a piece of art that my mom made when she was, I think, 9 or 10 years old, this triangle brass rubbing. So I put that on to call in the artistry of my own mother, and may whatever she tapped into at that young age come into my own consciousness. And then I brought this image in that my grandmother gave me when I was at her house, that she got from the Czech Republic when she visited Prague maybe 30 years ago. And my father is Czech. And so this is an image of the Virgin Mother Mary and Jesus. And I'm in the process right now of painting the Virgin Mary. And so this just like came to me. I said, okay, from my father's lineage, from the artists of Prague, and their imagery of the Virgin Mary, let me bring this in to help support me in my making of art. So I put that right here. And then I brought in Lakshmi. Lakshmi is right here. And she comes from the Indian tradition of, she's the goddess of prosperity. She's the goddess of art, kind of like Venus in Greek mythology. And so I brought her in to, bring in that Venusian and that prosperous and the abundant mind. And then I put a crystal, a quartz crystal on her lap for clarity of vision and to be like a channel, to help me channel and bring in visions of what this painting will have in it. And then I placed some herbs. And so this is a little heart-shaped bowl. And I took some rue, and this is Ruta graveolens. And this is rue that was grown in my grandmother's garden. But it could be, any herb that connects you to your own sacred heritage. I have a list of herbs I'll talk about in a minute, but this is one that's a very sacred herb to me. Rue is the herb of grace, and it's associated with protection from the evil eye, from jealousy. And I think sometimes as an artist, I don't know, I'm like calling myself an artist, which is kind of new. It's like I share my artwork because it's part of what, I've got a 11th house sun and moon. So community and like is important to me. And I know sometimes people, like they'll look upon my art and they won't like it, or they won't get it, or they'll be jealous or envious that I'm doing this. And so I'm like, well, I'm just going to put this here as protection in my process so that I can protect that, that clarity and the goodness inside. And then I also have a fluorite candle holder and a beeswax candle. So I'm going to light this now. And just again, call in call in all of the iconography of my ancestors, call in my own artistic muse, call in my teachers who've taught me how to paint, and thank them. And then I'll place this on the altar. And then an object that came to me pretty quickly of like, well, what can I put on the altar to like really channel in this good energy? So I brought all my paintbrushes. So my best friend Amanda, she's a high school art teacher. When she came to visit me in the fall, she saw my art, my paintbrushes, and was like, "Oh, girl," she's like, "You have to sort them. You have to put them by flat brushes and round brushes." So Amanda, I'm doing it. I'm keeping my brushes organized. So I'm going to put my round brushes and my flat brushes on the altar. So this is pretty simple. I have images that call in, sacred beings that mean something personal to me. I have an herb that has a personal meaning and connection to me. I've brought in light. And I think for me, like on an altar, when you're trying to bring energy to something, to bring fire, like the energy of transformation of the hearth. Fire is the sacred element of Vesta, the goddess of the hearth and the home and the heart. Is really important. So, in a lot of rituals, we talk about sacrifice means to burn or to offer. So I'm burning this beeswax as an offering, as a giving of life force and of my resources to this vision and to this prayer. And yeah, and so what I plan to do is to just, I'm going to be painting over the next few days. So I'll bring my paint brushes down and I'll paint. And when I'm complete and finished with them, I'll wash them and then I'll put them back. And so that they can continue to receive the guidance. And, as I'm working, I get to be around them as I'm painting. This is the painting I'm working on right now. I'll just show you real quick. That's all I have so far is her head in a floating sea. So, I'll be able to look at the altar. It'll be there, and I'll light my candle every time I sit down to paint, so that I can be open to receive, because it's not, there's no point of an altar if you can't be influenced by it. And one of the things too that is so important with creating an altar and setting up a prayer is that there's no timeline. I set up the prayer, I set the intention today, but that doesn't mean I receive the guidance today. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden my paintbrush becomes infused with the goddess light. No, I don't know when or if. And so I heard this. I think this was actually my friend Amanda who said this. Who said, when we say a prayer, we don't know. We can say a prayer for what, and God will tell us what, but God won't tell us how. And I love that, because it's like I can pray for the what, the object, but God won't tell me how they will bring this into being. And I remember I created an altar when I was 26 and I was living in an apartment by myself in Catonsville, Baltimore. And I really wanted to study Kundalini yoga in Hawaii. And it was like $2,000. I barely had any money. I was teaching yoga, and I don't even know what else I was doing. Oh, I was working at a health food store, and I really wanted to go. And so I remember I set up an altar and I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to study Kundalini yoga teacher training, 200 hours with these teachers in Hawaii on these dates. Like, I don't know how, God, but please, I really want this to happen. So I set the intention on the altar and I lit candles and I did my meditation in the morning. And I fed the candles and I put holy water down. And it was like, I really wanted this. And, I remember like one day I was like, well, I'll send an email to the leaders of this training and just tell them what it is, like who I am and what it is I'm wanting. And so it was like, I sent an email and they responded back and they're like, it's delightful to meet you. We do have a work study position. So if you want to help in the kitchen, we can give you a discounted tuition. And it was like, it'll be $1,000 versus 2,000. And I was like, how am I going to make $1,000 plus buy my airfare? So I was like, okay, but I'm not going to give up. So like, okay, here's a little bit of the how, a piece of the puzzle. And then I mentioned it at one of my yoga classes, and this woman said, I can help you. She said, I'll donate these lavender filled herbal eye pillows and you can sell them. And whatever you make from them, you can put towards your fund to help you do this. And I was like, wow, okay, thank you, God, and thank you to this beautiful woman. So she gave me, I think it was like 50 herbal eye pillows, and I started selling them. And I told people, I'm selling these so that I can go do this training. And people bought them. And I sold all my herbal eye pillows, and I had almost $1,000. It was like amazing. And so I registered, and then I was like, how am I going to buy my ticket, my plane ticket? Um, and I don't remember how I raised the money for the flight, but somehow I raised extra money doing something else that was like given to me. And, supportive people and allies came together. And then I bought the ticket and I ended up going for a month to live on the big island. And I studied Kundalini yoga and I cooked food for 30 people. And I had an incredible insights and visions and like life affirming things that happened during that time there. And I really look back at that altar and that prayer I wrote on that piece of paper and was like, thank you, God. Like, this is how it happens. It doesn't happen like I didn't get like a check for $1,000 or $2,000 in the mail. It happened because I spoke it, I stayed with it, and I worked. I did my part to make it happen. And so I just want to give all of you encouragement for your dreams and your visions and things that you're wanting to manifest. Set the intention, set the altar, spend time at the altar, speak what it is you're doing, ask for assistance, be open to receiving community support. And you never know what will happen. Okay. Oh, I wanted to share with you some herbs. Okay. So here are some examples of herbs you could place on your altar. So if your intention has to do with memory or visioning or looking for mental clarity around maybe a decision you're trying to make, 2 herbs that you could use on your altar would be sage or rosemary. If your altar is for matters of the heart, relationships, grief, loss, herbs that would work really well would be hawthorn or rose. If you are setting an altar for curiosity, excitement, you're looking for more energy, you're trying to invoke more artistry, creeping plants, anything that has vines. So I was thinking of like passionflower is a really nice one, or any of these sort of pothos types of creeping plants that grow and have vines would be really good ones. For protection, for work that you're doing where you want a little bit of protection around it, rue is a really nice one. Also, yarrow is a wonderful protector plant. If you're invoking dreams and wanting more support with dream work and getting clarity through the liminal dream space, herbs you could place on your altar include things like mugwort or black cohosh is another one I like to work with, or archangelica root. So those are a few ideas for herbs you can use to place on your altar. So that is what I have for you today. I hope you found today's talk helpful and hopeful. And, I really encourage you to just take some time if you can and do this for yourself and create a sacred space, create a sacred time. And gather items, and it could just be you don't have to buy anything new. Use what you have and create something that is going to pull in the intentions, the energy, and the changes that you want to see, and it will happen. Okay. So let me know your comments. I didn't mention this, but if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you find this information to be interesting, please click subscribe. It takes 1 second and it really helps my channel to grow. So thank you for that. And I would love to hear your comments. Tell me your stories. Have you created an altar? Have you set an intention and it's somehow come together? Let me know and share with others, because when we share on these platforms, we really can start to build community and we can start to build a repertoire of stories. And stories are so powerful in our psyches for helping us to do hard things. So thank you all. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you in the next episode.